Welcome back, everyone, for a lowdown rundown of Cobra Kai Season 6 Watch Party! It's been several weeks now since Part 1 dropped, and everyone has finally had some time to digest it all. That said, the first part of Season 6 appears to be digesting about as well as a late-night Chipotle burrito. Yeah, some people think it's that bad. These people aren't haters. This show doesn't have haters. They just feel something is missing or lacking from the latest season. The Critical Drinker gave Cobra Kai a Drinker Recommends back in Season 1 and has consistently praised it ever since. But look at what he had to say about Season 6.
Episodes and it's not very good.
Oh no.
I'm kind of shocked by this one. Like, Cobra Kai has generally been pretty strong up until now, but I started this. Hopefully, like, episode 3 might get better, but man, it's how can I describe this? You know how the show kind of walks that fine line between like farce and like serious drama, and it's like very self-aware. It knows how goofy the premise is, but it has a bit of fun with it. But it also knows when to take itself seriously. It's like it's gone over the line into the farcical aspect, but it doesn't know that it has.
I asked many Cobra Kai fans, from some well-known ones like Christian from Denmark and Cobra Kai Music, to some lesser-known ones in my own community, what their thoughts were on Season 6 Part 1. I'll share what they said and try to make sense of it all. Why are fans feeling let down or even disappointed with the ultimate season of television's greatest show? Christian even called it the weakest first 5 episodes to a season yet. Let's find out. So right off the top, broadly speaking, many people seem to have trouble with the flow or pacing. Christian said, I didn't feel the pacing was nearly as sharp as previous seasons. Part 1 was the first time ever where I felt that strong urge to press play on the next episode. This is similar to what Kyle said. Most of the drama came together too quickly and not organically. I believe what they're saying here is despite being only 5 episodes, at least some of it started off pretty slow. So what is it that leads people to say that? Well, the main obstacles in the first episode was a Dojo Name. Now, despite the lead-ups from last season, as well as the tease Netflix released over a year earlier, and it ended up to be mostly nothing. In fact, I would say ending with the name Miyagi-Do is literally anticlimactic. Why are we watching the characters just to decide to stick with the name they already had? The logo is decent, but it's not exactly a climactic moment. So yeah, with such a wishy-washy story in episode 1, you can understand why people feel bored. Like, what just happened? Individual shots and moments are fun. The Miyagi Fang reveal is fun. I personally like when Chosen and Johnny attack Daniel in their sparring match. But so what? A fight, even a fun one, doesn't smooth over the dullness of the story. The seeds were laid back in Season 5. I won't expound on it too much, but for me, this is one of my least favorite things in the season Part 1. Probably more so this detail than the things other people mentioned. Otherwise, Episode 1 had the healing of the rift between Tori and Sam, and Kenny coming to terms with his current situation. While the Tori and Sam conflict has fueled multiple seasons of this show, it was all a little damp here. Now, maybe that was the point, but the scenes feel a little off, as in low energy. Like, you get that the characters don't want to be there, but it somehow translates to the audience not wanting to be there either. Plus, I heard Peyton List was really sick while filming this, which somewhat explains her odd look. It wasn't helping anything. The fight in the batting cage had similar problems. Now granted, they were trying to not beat each other up, but it made the whole thing a little awkward. The fight wasn't exciting the way most fights are. It was a battle of wills at best. It also knocked Kenny back down from his previously overpowered self in Season 5 to just a high-level fighter. I will say, in all the commentary I've seen on the season, in Episode 1, not one person ever said anything bad about Sean. I think he may be more popular than Kenny. He's good and his scenes may be some of the best in the episode. Now, Christian said he felt the writing came off as kind of stale and didn't feel nearly as inspired as before. There were a lot of low-stakes stuff happening around our characters, which was a far cry from the dramatic stuff in previous seasons. This is definitely the case in episode 2, which may be the weakest of the batch. The low-stakes nature of the stories is something I've harped on since the drop. A perfect example is Haw Demitri, whose main conflict in this episode is to convince Brooks to explain his secret for getting into MIT. The problems here are many. First, this is a show about karate, not college admissions. Second, if you ever applied for college, you know a couple months into senior year is not exactly the time to learn something special to get into a school. If you want to attend the most elite Massachusetts Ivy League school, it's way too late to learn anything different. Frankly, their urge to learn is evidence they aren't cut out for it. The fact that the whole plot was a fake out, Brooks wasn't going to MIT at all, but a trade school with the same initials, made the whole story feel unimportant. Like, what was the point? I don't like those "it was all for nothing" revelation, and I think that is felt across the fandom. And speaking of low-stakes stories, Johnny's house hunting is another. This is essentially a continuation of the Johnny montages back in season 5. Yes, he's trying to get it together for the new, bigger family. This may have been good except for the fact that it doesn't go anywhere. Like in every other Johnny montage, he always ended up with something. He found a place to train for his dojo in season 3. He found a girl for Eagle Fang in season 4. He got his place clean and was earning money in this season 5 montages. But this one? Nothing. He even finds a guy who wants to give him a chance. A very welcome twist from a cool actor. But then it goes nowhere. Oops. It makes the whole plotline feel like a waste. Yeah, one sort of fake out story that goes nowhere is maybe passable, but we had 2 in a single episode. It's worth adding that Crees' story in this episode is a little clunky. Another fan really went off on the Degatry. It's not an Easter egg, it's an anvil. It's not a homage, it's a ripoff. Yeah, that's kind of true. I was almost taken aback how it was literally a mere version of Empire Strikes Back. Now, we can dig into the implications another time, but the idea felt improperly realized. I mean, Kim Sun-young says he lost the knife years ago, presumably in the 1940s or so, like 80 years ago. Then when Crees walks into the cave, it's like right there. What the fuck? Was he lying and it was all a test? Who knows? I don't. I think this idea could have been realized a little more clearly. A vision quest is very common in storytelling, and there's nothing wrong with it, but this one came across as a little on the nose, simplistic and unoriginal. While the previous stories mentioned may have been low caliber in meaning and importance, this one could have been very strong, but was just executed so blandly. It's one thing to focus on the character, Crees here, but not at the expense of any sort of coherence and excitement. Now, Christian was not a fan of the very highly unbelievable heel turn by Kyler, as well as the no-stakes college brawl. That's especially true as the best part of the trailer was Kyler's "Bitch, don't you know I know karate?" It was cool, but gosh dang, the fight fell a few rungs short on the ladder. For me, it was mostly that song that played. I don't know what it was and I don't like it. I don't know what it was and I don't care to know. It sure didn't work for me. Should have let Zach and Leo compose something for them to use. They'll knock it out of the park every time. So that's the opening of the season. The park critical drinker was unimpressed by. Now I do believe the rest of the season gets better, but unfortunately has some of the biggest complaints from the fans. We'll cover those in part 2, so make sure you're subscribed. We're getting to the bottom of season 6. Have a great day. I'll see you at the next watch party.